Hey everybody, so today we're going to cover chapter 2 of my book, Success by Design, your comprehensive planning guide for all types of enterprises. Chapter 2 focuses on your products and services. So what you're going to do is download the free worksheet templates and kind of follow along. I'm just going to give a synopsis for you so that you can work on your products and services. If you really want to get into the detail of it, I recommend buying the book because it's going to give you some insights on how to get this information. It's so important that you understand the development process of your products and services. And what I have found is a lot of entrepreneurs will actually just create a product, create a service without really going into a market analysis and finding out what is important for the problems that they're trying to solve for their target market. And they're also just kind of throwing, darts in the dark to determine how to price out these products and services in a way that actually makes the most sense and not only helps you to make money, but at least get your return on investments. So something that I recommend immediately is taking an opportunity, and you'll see this template, is listing out every product and service you currently offer and include concepts, include free promotional items that you give away. And if you are kind of one of those companies who have a ton of products, and I'm talking like thousands, like you're a resale company, you might need to bulk and categorize versus actually itemizing at this time. You will at some point want to have that real clear understanding of inventory for tracking purposes, especially if you keep inventory on hand. So those are some things that we go into a lot of detail in the book. But I'm going to flip through on some of these topics just to kind of give you some insights on what you need to know. The very first thing I always talk about when it comes down to your products and services, like I mentioned, is listing out the different products and services and identifying a few different things about them. The first thing I ask is it a product? Is it a service? Is it a package? Or is it a concept? I go into detail in the book on the definition of each of these things. So if you're unclear, I highly recommend that you purchase a copy of the book. But you need to know if it's a product, if it's a service or a package or a concept, because that tells you where you're at in the process and other things you need to do. For example, it may or may not have a sales tax applicable to it based on a product service, or if you're not even launching it, or it's free, a promotional item. So you really need to know that. And that's the second question I ask is, does it require sales tax? So be very clear about your sales tax side of things, because every state has a Secretary of State website that talks about how to set up your sales tax accounts so that you can properly report as required by state compliance and regulation and pay sales taxes. So you need either make sure that you are collecting as required and paying that back to your state, or you're having the right certifications and permits in place that allow you to be a wholesaler and pass on or the sales tax to the end users or the end seller. So the third question I ask is this item fully developed or ready for market launch, and ready for market launch? And what that means is, if you were to get somebody to say, I want this product or this service now, do you have all of the things in place to be able to deliver this product or service with quality and 100% to where the client is able to experience the product or service at that full level, and they're able to leave you testimonials and reviews? So if it's not ready or fully developed, and maybe you need to do a beta launch, there are some things that I talk about in the book that you need to consider as well. And you need to ask yourself if it's ready for market launch, because now you not only have a product and service, but is it wrapped up, is it packaged in a way that it has a brand identity, that people understand what it is, what it does, that the messaging and the tone of voice is clear, and that the marketing plan is specific to the target audience you're trying to capture. So once you've listed all those things out and you've basically determined and answered some of those questions and identified whether these are concepts or they are products and services that are ready to go, you need to prioritize your items and assign numbers to the items which is going to the market first. So if you have things that are out on the market, you might be saying, you know what, let's pull this back a little bit. We need to redevelop it. That might be something on your list. So you just really need to assign some deadlines and task and launch dates to certain things on your list. So prioritize it. I recommend that you don't list out or put out more than 2, maybe 3 at the most products and services if you are a brand new company launching for the first time. So keep that in mind. You want to be as simple as possible. And we say it this way, is that when you do everything for everyone, you do nothing for anyone, right? So you want to make sure that you're very clear on your offerings and your products and services, and the messaging is clear so that people understand what they're getting from you. And you launch it out. And if you're beta testing, you're really looking for market information and data collection to tell you that this is going to be a successful product or service. And so you make adjustments and tweaks as necessary before you do a full launch. But you also need to look at it in a way of like your sales capacity. So how many can I produce, or how much service can I provide at maximum capacity with the resources I currently have before I have to really invest in our structural operations to be able to scale to the next level. And so when you find that information too, then you're busting at the seams. That's when you start looking at, okay, what else can we launch into the market? Because you want to make sure you're bringing the income in. So what I find with entrepreneurs or business owners is that they have an idea, they have a concept, they throw it out into the market, it doesn't stick. They come up with something else, they throw it out, and they're just constantly throwing stuff out. And it's much like the concept of throwing spaghetti at the wall and finding out what's going to stick. And that's just a very ill way of approaching it. You need to kind of scale back and just think, what can I do with this one idea, and make sure it's done and developed very well, go into the market with it and allow the market to determine if it's going to be successful. Give it some time, identify if it's working, make adjustments, perfect it, and then go back out to market once you've identified what the market actually wants and needs. And then now you're in a position to where you can really see this product or service take off. And then you'll be making enough money, as long as you follow your process of making sure you're pricing correctly and you're receiving a return on investment, you'll be able to invest back into other product development or service development so that you can go back into the market with those other ideas and concepts, okay? The next piece, which I also recommend, that all these templates are listed for you in the Success by Design .biz website. So if you are not on that website, I highly recommend you'll find other videos that you can tap into specific to writing your business plan and being successful with the design of your business. So go to the website successbydesign.biz and find the rest of the videos and all of these worksheet templates. So another template that you'll be finding is the process of distribution. So I have you, once you've identified that one service concept or product concept or idea or whatever it is, you really need to step-by-step list out what it takes to get it from client sell all the way to delivery so that the end user can experience it. And that could be as simple as they click on the website, they drop the item in their shopping cart, they select checkout, they make their payment. So you really need to go through that process. Uncovering the step-by-step process is going to help expand on information such as what resources and structural systems you need to have in place in order to provide what you're telling your customer base that you have to offer. So step-by-step delivery process, you're going to list it out exactly what the process looks like from beginning, user is buying it, all the way to user is leaving a customer testimony and review. So if you get those templates, you will see that there's also a template specific to the distribution breakout. So you're going to be able to identify the human resources that you need, the individuals that are responsible for each individual step in the process. And so what you're going to find is that you're going to start building out your human resource list. So who are your staff? Who are the jobs that you need on your team? And every step is going to help you long-term build out those job descriptions, which are later on conversations, okay? So it's also going to help you identify your cost of goods. What are your materials and supplies to produce this specific product or service? So keep in mind, this is not overhead. This is specific to if someone buys this item, I have to buy these supplies to make sure it's available at that whole 100% completion that I said I was gonna do. Overhead cost, that's when you have to pay those expenses regardless of whether you make a sale or not. So when you identify your cost of goods, that helps you not only identify different types of vendors. So very important to understand that you need to have a very diverse suppliers and vendors for the cost of goods, supplies, and materials that you actually purchase. Because if anything were to happen, you don't want to be in a position where you cannot actually access those supplies and materials when necessary because your supplier or your vendor is having some form of issues on their end. So make sure you have a diverse selection of vendors and suppliers that can provide what you're looking for, and make sure you have backups for that. The next thing you want to consider are what are some of those overhead expenses you need to have in place. Considering if you're printing letters or paper, ink, supporting systems such as technology, those are things you need to keep in mind and understand as well. Again, that's all listed on the process of distribution resources worksheet. Make sure that you're filling that out for each and every step. The last piece I look at is customer education and marketing. I call it CN on your actual worksheet. So you may not need to acquire anything specific to this, but you might need to educate your clients on things they need to have. So what are some prerequisites? In today's world, we don't really say, oh, you need to have the internet to be able to access certain things. A lot of people already have it, but there are things that they may need to have in order to be able to operate or utilize what you're offering to them, okay? So for example, if you're offering a service, maybe they need to purchase a book that goes with what you're doing. Or maybe if you're offering a table saw, maybe they need certain bands that go with it as well. So there are certain prerequisites. And so you might have that information or those disclaimers or disclosures not included. Maybe it's a product that doesn't have batteries, right? So they're going to have to purchase batteries. So those are little things that you need to think of that they need in order to be able to experience the product or service you're offering. And you use that information to make sure your packaging is dialed in, and also to make sure that you're educating your consumer on their prerequisites or things that they need in addition to or prior to being able to experience the product or service that you are offering to them. Okay. Another thing, once you get all this information down, you really want to identify who your ideal customer is for each individual product or service that you are offering. You may not have the same target market for everything that you put out into the market. So keep that in mind. Not only do you want to find out who they are, you want to identify how to attract them. So there's some lead engagement that takes place. So be sure to check out the marketing template specific to each product and service. Now there is a market analysis and marketing campaigns tutorials that we'll go through with worksheets specific to the big picture of your brand identity, but this is something you need for each and every individual product and service. They may be very similar across the board, but you want to make sure that you find the uniqueness so that you can identify who your target market is for that specific product and service, and we know how to dial in and go find them and showcase what you have to offer them. Another worksheet we're going to work on specific to this product is your competitors. You really need to know who are out there doing what you do or offering something similar to what you do, okay? And what differentiates you from those competitors, because that's going to go into that marketing conversation as well, or the description of your product and service, and why people should choose you over your competitors, okay? Another area that we look at is your product and service marketing worksheet. This is very, very important. You'll find this in the template as well, because this goes over creating that avatar for you. So you're going to talk about demographics, psychographics, geographics, and buying behavioral patterns. What are the prompters that create an individual or influence an individual or a company or whoever your end user is, your client? What influences them to go to you or go to any of your competitors to purchase the product and service you're offering? So you need to know those things. It's going to help you identify what language you're using, what sales language you're using, what marketing messaging you're using in order to attract them and influence those buying decisions. And at what stage in the buyer's journey are they at? Okay, so when it comes to product and service, you're also going to be looking at your pricing strategy. So if you look at the worksheets, we go into the detail of the financials. Product and service financial worksheet is going to help you take one item and kind of get an idea when you market, analyze, and research what is the suggested retail price. So if you go out and you research, you can kind of see what the market's already doing if what you offer is already out there, okay? Then you're going to look at your own cost of goods, which we've talked about, and you're also going to consider any sales commission. commission. This sometimes gets overlooked because you need to make sure that your sales commission may not always be tied directly to the profits or to a employee salary. It might be very based on sales goals. So make sure you're including that. And then you want to try to get a 30 to 40% markup for a profit margin on top of all of that. And you'll get your final retail price, and then you can identify if you're over or under on your income. So are you profiting or are you losing money? And that can help you really start to adjust your pricing strategies, decide if maybe you need to change suppliers or vendors, maybe they're charging too much, so there's some ways that you can work through that, or, lower the cost of commissions that you pay out or make it more lucrative. So there's so many opportunities there. So consider your suggested retail price. What are the cost of goods that it takes to purchase the supplies and materials in order to offer those products and services? Are you paying out sales commissions? And look at the suggested retail price that you've identified through your willingness of consumers to pay or what they're currently paying to your competitors, and subtract your estimated cost of goods and the commission from that suggested retail price. This is your potential profit margin per unit, okay? So keep that in mind. That's gonna help you identify exactly what it costs to produce one unit. Another thing you need to be looking at this point for your projections is capacity. Now that you know what it costs to produce one unit, you need to look at your current set of resources in the next 12 to 18 months and ask yourself, how many of these units can we produce without increasing our resources? And that tells you your maximum capacity. When you get that maximum capacity, you can multiply that number towards your projected projected financial gross profit to get your projected sales for the 12 to 18 months. So you can check out the goals and projections worksheet in the templates to kind of identify what that really looks like. So you're going to be looking at product and service, the retail price, all of your expenses, your sales goals, your gross revenue, your gross expenses, and identify what your potential net profit is at the end. So this, again, isn't going to include all of your overhead. This is just to give you one product, one service, to give you some information on making sure that you're pricing correctly and that you're getting some good sales goals and revenue goals in place for future financial projections. So you're going to do that for every single product or service you plan to take to market within the next 12 to 18 months. So this is going to give you a 12 to 18 month projection per item. Eventually, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to total all those things up, and you're going to find out exactly what it costs and what your potential profit looks like for each product and service you plan to take to market. Okay, so that actually helps you when we get into the financial projections piece to determine your potential revenue. Okay, so after that, you're going to look at the final component of your templates, which is very focused on taking your product and service, creating a description, all of the things that are included in it, the retail price, your sales goals, projected revenue, projected expenses, and your projected net profit. So check those templates out for your products and services. This is going to help you really dial in all of the information you need to make sure not only you are pricing your products and service correctly, your messaging is dialed in so you can get the right target market to be attracted to what you're looking for, increase your sales, and you're going to have some sales goals so that you can understand what your revenue projections look like. So check out those templates. Once you've done that, make sure that you go back onto our website, successbydesign.biz, or check our YouTube channel out. You can find additional videos that go through every area of this business. These are free resources to you. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share as we upload more information to help you grow your business. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.